Okay, I wanted to capture some thinking here as I'm going through these trial transcripts, and just another thought. The first question everyone has to ask themselves is if someone with a badge aggressively pulls a gun on you in an aggressive fashion such that you think they're fixing to pull the trigger and kill you, do you have the right to defend yourself and in any way possible, even with your own firearm? Okay, that's a question that I'll put aside. I have my opinion on that, but you guys think about that and mull that over in your head. Does an individual have the right to defend himself even if someone with a badge aggressively pulls a pistol on him and acts like he's going to kill him for no reason? That there's no pre-warrant, there's not a warrant given, there's no reason for any sort of arrest, anything like that. So that's just a situation that you need to think through and come to your own conclusion. The other thing I want to put forth, and just thinking out loud here as I'm reading through these trial transcripts, is the prosecution puts forth, there was an incident at KJNP, King Jesus North Pole. And the militia showed up and they were wearing, I guess they had their firearms, and they simply did what militias do. They provided security for the area. They escorted people in. They're just being defensive, right? But the prosecution put forth the argument that these militiamen were prepared to shoot any feds that showed up if they drew down, right? That was supposedly some of the stuff that was written on a whiteboard or whatever as they were planning for this King Jesus NP, KJNP, King Jesus North Pole event. Okay, so, but no feds even showed up, right? Nothing happened that I'm aware of, and I'm still reading, but I don't think anything happened at the KJNP event. The feds didn't show up. There was no shootout. And so the feds keep putting forth the argument that they were prepared to shoot feds at the KJNP event. Well, you can't arrest somebody and put them in prison for 26 years on what might have happened or what you think that they would have done had it actually happened. And the counter argument that I would also put forth is if Schaefer and Barney Coleman and Vernon were the type of men to shoot feds when the feds drew down on them, then they obviously have proven themselves not to be those type of men. Because when you look at what happened and how the arrest broke down when the CHS, the confidential human source, set them up in a car, they had their own pistols on them, right? They had their own firearms. And yet when the feds came up to the car, did Schaefer fire back? Did Barney Coleman fire back? Did Vernon fire back? All of the arrest that I've read so far is they gave up peaceably and they didn't offer any resistance and they didn't fire their pistols. So what I'm trying to say is that the prosecution cannot have it both ways. The prosecution cannot argue that these are the type of men that will fire on the feds had we showed up at the KJNP event, which didn't even happen anyway. But they're trying to make the case that, well, they had all these plans and that they would have fired on the feds. But when it actually happened, when the feds actually showed up and arrested them, they gave up peaceably. You see what I mean? So the point I'm trying to make, and I wanted to capture in my mental notes, is the prosecution can't have it both ways. You can't say they're the type of men that would fire on the feds, and yet when they actually got arrested, they didn't fire on the feds. And then going back to the first example that I talked about earlier, you guys need to think very clear in your head. If somebody in a badge comes up to you for no reason, you have no prior arrest warrant, there's no reason whatsoever this guy is approaching you, and he's got a badge on, and he pulls a gun on you, acting like he's going to kill you, do you have a right to defend yourself? Not only that, but if he does manage to arrest you, they're going to put you in a United States prison system that's basically satanic hellhole for torture. And because you stood up against the government as far as promoting the fact about 9/11, promoting the fact about the Federal Reserve, promoting the fact about corrupt judges, promoting the fact about corrupt congressmen and judicial system and everything else, you're going to be in a special, secret, satanic torture chamber called the Communications Management Unit, of which there are two in the United States. One's in Marion, Illinois, and the other one is Terre Haute, Indiana. So just get all your thinking straight in your head, anybody who's listening to the sound of my voice, about what's really going on here. Because our leadership and the people who run our government and the people who run the Department of Justice and the people who run the FBI are absolutely satanic, evil reprobates from hell. And there's a prison industrial complex that they want to put you into, and you will absolutely you'll be sitting right in the pit of hell once they get you into the prison industrial complex. They scald people with water until they die, and then they burn the evidence after. And there's a few articles about it. Nobody does anything about it. Listen, this is serious stuff. What's going on? And we need to stand up as a society, and we need to find our moral and biblical foundation, and we need to find our backbone and trust in the Lord Jesus Christ, and we got to speak out against these evil bastards. Otherwise, our children ain't going to have no hope of a country to grow up in. No king but King Jesus.